Call this School District Sturgeon Bay Board of Education meeting to order for Wednesday, March 18th, 2026. Could everyone stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Ms. Mees, can you do the roll call?
You bet. Commissioner Schultz is excused today. Commissioner Starr?
Here.
Commissioner Meyer? Here. Commissioner Haas? Here. Commissioner Jennerjohn? Here. Commissioner Stefani?
Here.
Commissioner Cruz? Here. Commissioner Spritka?
Here.
And Commissioner Howard is not here.
Yep, he was in contact.
Okay. Excused. All right.
Perfect. So, next, if we get a motion to adopt the agenda, noting though that we are going into closed session, which so closed session, you'll see on the bottom there. So a motion to adopt the agenda going into closed session, is what we're looking for.
To adopt the agenda, noting that will be a closed session. A 19.851C, considering employment promotion performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. One, consideration of preliminary notice of non-renewal of teacher contract, and then B, return of session.
Perfect. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Jennerjohn, seconded by Commissioner Cruz, to adopt the agenda as presented, noting that we're going into closed session A 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. One, consideration of preliminary notice of non-renewal of teacher contract, and then be returned back to open session. Further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have the student council report, but I think they're busy right now, right?
I'm not seeing the ladies here tonight,
Yep.
so
So
I'm
I
sure
think-
they'll let us know on a future visit what else they have going.
Exactly, with
A little
everything.
bit of a quiet time for student council.
Exactly. Next, public comment section. Not sure if anybody's here to address the board. Okay, we're gonna go to the recognition. This is why you're all here, so thank you. And thank you very much for, it was kind of informal at 5:30, but we appreciate you all coming and realize that there is cake and punch over there, which is very good. I know I was trying to schlep it over here, but you gotta just grab, it's really good. In fact, there's a whole cake that isn't even cut up yet, so, there's plenty of cake. So, thank you for coming, do appreciate it. I guess,
We can hop into it. I think as you and I were talking before, Mike, and it's kind of the giveaway, because we don't have a bunch of folks here for a public comment. So if you could do us a favor, audience members here, if you could stand up in just a moment. So I'll give you a moment, because some of you, Chuck, I don't want to stand up, but humor us, right? If you could stand up, if you're here tonight to honor, either Aaron or Deb. We're also honoring Craig. He couldn't be here tonight unless something just changed since the last meeting I was in. But if you're here tonight to honor either of those folks, Aaron, who's going to be retiring as we know, or Deb, who we're recognized for her years of service, could you just stand up right now for a visual? That's what we thought.
That's great.
Excellent. So thank you for doing that. Go ahead. Make yourself comfortable. We will have a couple of photo ops in just a moment. All right. So let me make sure, Mrs. Denise, I don't get out of order. Oh, yes, we have a retiree. All right. So we've got Aaron DeWittiak is up first. So Aaron, if we could have you and Katie come on down to the podium. We'll snap a couple pictures. We've got your write-up and whatnot. And then after they talk through that, I will pause just in case someone wants to get a photo there in addition to what I will give. I'm done. I can get through. and share with Spencer for the Book of Face. We'll get to that. All right, let me set this here first. Let me put this here. I'll hold on to those.
Okay.
You take that, and then I'll do the photo.
Oh, I know.
You got it memorized. All right, let me give it a shot here. And my sister always reminds me to get the upper. All right, thank you. Do your thing. I'll step off to the side for the moment.
Retiring after 27 years isn't just about finishing a job. It's about acknowledging the person who's been the true heartbeat behind the scenes, caring for so many years. Aaron, although I've only had the honor of serving with you for the last 5 years, I'm certain that the wonderful work you have done for so long has touched many lives. For nearly 3 decades, you have been the definition of dependable and hardworking. Whether it was a sub-crisis, a late bus at 7 a.m., or a deadline, or a student waiting to be picked up after 4 p.m., you were the one we all looked to. Your highly organized systems kept us afloat, and your safety-focused mindset ensured that every child who walked through our doors was protected. But your impact goes far beyond paperwork. You possess that rare magical ability to know almost every student and family in our district. The great care you have consistently shown for our staff and students is truly appreciated. And let's not forget your beautiful office decoration for every holiday. And your legendary collection of gnomes, who I'm convinced were your secret assistants. You made the office a place of comfort. Now you are starting a new adventure, being a full-time grandma to beautiful Blair, who is in the audience. I know you're looking forward to spending time with her and your whole family. I hope you enjoy every minute of it. I want to personally thank you for putting up with a new principal and especially for all the editing. And if you were looking over, you see that she didn't read this first, obviously, because I found some errors. And this is me, so I want to thank you for, oops, I'm sorry. I've always appreciated your unwavering support in so many ways. You will be missed more than you know. They say everyone is replaceable, but after 27 years, we know the truth. You are truly irreplaceable. Thank you for everything. Oh, that's right. That's what I was looking for.
Thank you and congratulations to the district. There's the right.
That's right. Is there anyone that wants a photo op before I let Aaron step away? Yes, please come on up. Katie, you stay as well. Once you get we can get the angle with the flag or whatever you would like.
I'll go up high. This is we power.
Well, there we go.
Thank you, Aaron.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you. I could have Mark Smullen come on up to double team with me as we recognize Deb Jeancourt. Deb, come on down. Let me grab your stuff. Let's give Deb a round of applause. The long speech comes in when you retire, so you just get the short version. The short version tonight. You wanna start with a couple and then we'll go from there?
All right, so
Hold on, let me get the picture.
Oh, there we go. I got 10 minutes.
All right, here we go. Get out of there.
We're arm one.
And I'll go one more up here. Okay, good for now. Okay.
All right, so thank you, Deb, for being here and for your 25 years of service to our school district. You've done more than teach math. You shape minds, you build confidence, you inspire curiosity in generations of students. See it in my own daughter. In a subject that can be often feel intimidating, you have created a classroom where questions are welcome, mistakes are part of learning. Every student feels capable. You go way out of your way to go more and beyond, above and beyond just teaching math. I see what you do with helping kids shape a kindness culture that you and Casey and other members of your 6th grade team who are here tonight build within our school. I love that you help lead the kids in our student council, and you're always there to support the kids and cheerlead them. And it's just it's great to have you on staff. It's a pleasure to work with you, and you should be very proud of what you've done and how the kids score and perform for you. It's a privilege to work with you. And we're very proud of you. So thank you very much.
So for the math teacher, how many students would you say you've taught over the year?
2,000?
I was thinking somewhere depending on, right, as our class sizes have varied from, you know, now in the middle school pushing 80 to others around 120, give or take, right? That's a good, that's an average. So the English teacher, I didn't trust my number. I trust Deb's number. So, and she's taught my daughter as well. Deb, thank you very much. There's certificates and recognition. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
One of the things we always like to just pause and do before we kind of wrap up this part of the recognition with comments. Ann, you and I have done this long enough. You didn't even have to give me the reminder this year, but usually Ann's good about reminding me how we like to talk, you know, in our line of work and education, right? We have people that work with people, right? Little ones. And Melissa Benzinger, we were sitting in the same meeting, some of her stories about the 4Kers back in school today, all the way up to seniors and special ed kids beyond, right, that age. So people that work with people. But the other piece is when we ask you to stand up, right? There's the people behind all of our honorees, right? Certainly our family, certainly our friends, certainly our colleagues. One of the cool things is our line of work is, right, whether you're in an elementary grade level or a secondary department or whatever it happens. And for a few of our folks, almost a department of one, they still have colleagues that are behind them at work. And very importantly, colleagues that are behind them in their circle, right? Whether at home, whether family scattered abroad, other friends, right? People that are behind you and us. And that's a really huge part of that. So I not only thank, in this case, right, Aaron and Deb tonight, but I thank all of you, and I thank the people, you know, there aren't that many people watching our recording, but whether they're watching it later, or we have people that come back, or people that might be far, far away that are a support network for both Deb and Aaron, and Craig, certainly, again, we don't want to forget about Craig Keycaper, even though he's not here tonight, to recognize his service as well, and the people that have put in those years before, and the people that will put in those years after. So all of you, we say thank you, and thanks for being here tonight. So let's give Deb and Aaron another round.
You know, I'll just say all of us have, yeah, all of us either have kids in the district or had kids in the district. And when I look around here, my son was with a lot of you sometime very early on. Aaron, I know, you know, you were herding the cats in the school when my kid was little. And I thank you for everything you did, Deb. I don't think my son had you, but he had, you know, people around you. But I know everybody here. Everybody here has kids that have had been touched.
He did, but he was really good man.
He was okay. We all have kids that you all, it's so cool that you all came out to help and be there for the people that are honored tonight. I mean, it's really great. So thank you. Thank you. And if you want to be here for the riveting rest of this board meeting, feel free, but you don't have to. You can get on with your night, but please take cake. Please, there's a whole cake there that hasn't even been eaten. It's like I'm schlepping. I'm trying to get cake out to you all. But enjoy.
President Stefani, maybe should we just take 2 minutes?
I think we should.
Because we had several meetings going on, board members who didn't get a chance to shake hands with Deb and Aaron can do so. Plus then folks can, you know, go ahead and leave in an organized fashion, just in case you don't want to spend the rest of your night with us.
Yeah.
You want to hit that, just gavel it through?
Yep.
Sign our babies. A nice. Yeah. Congratulations to It's right on.
Thanks for being here most experienced. Babies down there. Hi, buddy. I'm doing well. How are you? I'm talking about us today. Yeah. Well, please. I just like to be myself.
Very much.
And there's like 6 million people. Right, yeah, I think.
This guy still worries about us. He emailed about, he was worried about way down the roof the other day during all the snow. That's, what a guy. What a guy.
All right, we're back in session. So next we are to the consent agenda. And the consent agenda, is the following. Approve the meeting minutes from the regular meeting of the Board of Education for February 18th of 2026 and the learning session of March 4th, 2026. Approve the federal, boy, did I just slip there? So the approve the February bills in your packet. And then we have grants and donations. We have $775 from an anonymous donor for the Sunrise Clubs. We also have an $1,148 plus another donation of $180 from an anonymous donor for the Sunrise Club as well. $326 from the PTG for the Sunrise School Lunch or parent teacher conferences. $100 from Hope Church for the high school band program, and $3,000 from the Robert E. Hansen Family Foundation towards high school vocal showcase. Thank you to these businesses and groups and individuals associated with them for their generosity. Yes,
On my packet, it doesn't say anonymous.
we need to keep it what I just said.
Okay.
Resignations and retirements, Jolene Book will be resigning from her position at the Door County Schools Career Training Program effective the end of the current school year. And approve early college credit and start college now apps. This is just an annual requirement, but currently there are no applications. So a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented is recommended.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Perfect,
Second.
perfect. We have a motion by Commissioner Spritka, second by Commissioner Jenner John to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussions?
Yes, can you please explain more about 0.5? What does that mean?
Actually, I'm gonna defer to Dan on that.
Is that like,
Early college.
Oh,
yeah.
I just want to make sure we're talking about the same item, because Keith, you want to step forward, and I can feel some of it too. The approve early college credit and start college now applications. All right, yeah, probably the applications part. So as Keith's coming up, that there currently aren't. I know as Mrs. Demise and I and Principal Nerby have talked, we want to make sure that this item remains on the agenda, so we don't, as we copy from one, this March to next March or whatnot, that doesn't get missed. I can tell you over the years, some of these, probably the program some of us might be most familiar with would have been called youth options back in the day, right? In essence, with high school age kids taking college coursework. Specific to this item, because I know you've been in contact with this, Principal Nerby, what would you just add to Commissioner Haas's question?
Yeah, can I just hear the question one more time? I'm sorry.
So is this specific for like, are we supposed to approve specific programs or kids signing up for early?
Kids
college?
signing up, so they kind of apply, they fill out, they have to apply ahead of time to take these courses. And so generally you just approve that they're taking the courses. It's a state the state, the state pushes this out for us to offer to students. So it's not any specific program or class or something like that. It's just approving that the students are, it's for your knowledge, so that we have X number of students participating in this program.
But we don't have any.
We don't have any at this moment. Yeah, some years we have some years we don't have any. That's kind of what it looks like.
When we do have them, do they typically go through UWGB?
We have students who go through UWGB. They're able to go through any UW school and take courses. Sometimes it's like online or distance learning, that type of thing. But UW Green Bay is the most common ones that they participate in for this course.
Thanks for giving me the info.
And maybe just on a related note, so we met, Mrs. O'Hanley and I met with NWTC this afternoon.
You're stealing my
I'm getting ahead of you.
That's okay.
But I don't have the cool looking report that you have. I don't have that one with me that they gave us today. But I mean, in essence, some of their deadlines are still coming up.
Yeah.
And some of them are, what's the nice way of saying, I'm trying to use her words for me, like a softer deadline of sorts.
Right.
So as really, I think back to maybe what you're getting at, and I apologize if not. So as our kids work through the scheduling process for next year, for example, right? So usually first, it's okay, which high school classes do I want that fit, and making sure, especially if there are a couple of smaller ones that they run and all that. And then beyond that, often with some of these upcoming deadlines, then they're filling in some of the other college coursework, kind of already into the spring. So that by the time, it's the end of the year, or certainly before the start of next school year, that kids are still ending up in quite a number of college courses. I know the report we were given today, you can quote the numbers later because I didn't memorize them, right? But it's really a good number of kids based off of last year that were involved, as well as a good number of, in that example, NWTC courses that the kids took.
We'll talk, some of our courses are dual credit, so they take the class here, but they get the college credit.
That's true.
Some are taking it directly through the college, and we help support that. So that's kind of what Dan is talking about, a little bit of that, but yeah, and so as the schedules come out, yeah, students will realize, okay, maybe because of the way the schedule is, and there's, I call them singletons, but it means that there's only one class offered. They can't get into that and this other class that's only offered, and so there's some conflicts, and so sometimes then they'll want to take the course through the college or university or something like that. Yeah.
And the board members may also appreciate, without getting too far into it, that I did share with our NWTC rep today, as they're talking about what would be helpful, is having a better sense from them, just like the other post-secondary institutions, about what their deadlines are. Right? So that as we've talked, right, whether your child is signing up for classes or you as a parent are looking at it, that we don't have a situation that we go through our process and then find out, oh boy, NWTC or whoever just lets us know that, oh yeah, but the deadline for this is, right, because there are a number of those coming up in roughly March, right, give or take. But within NWTC, there are also some of their staff, they've done a big reorganizational meeting, or a big reorganizational approach, apologize. And so a lot of staff have changed. And so she shared with us today that they're having conversation on how do they try to nail those deadlines down better, to then be able to communicate them to, I don't know, high schools and high school kids and parents. So it's definitely on their radar, and we just happen to have a chance to talk with them about it this afternoon. Again, that was just the NWTC example, as opposed to Future Phoenix or other things that have come up. We're doing what we can to try to share with them, so we get for it. Is there a way the high school could have a calendar for like next year, so that we can then say, oh, if you're gonna do this March deadline, one of the things we talked about was, couldn't an NWTC person be at our February parent-teacher conferences next year to be ready to answer questions, right? Because then if we know about that, we'll promote it. And then a kid and their parent can talk with an NWTC rep like a month before any deadlines are coming up. So trying to take some of what the group has talked about, I know recently, and how can we get the information we need to make that all work better?
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a long answer to that.
No, that was-
It kind of seemed timely, so, all right, thank you.
Any further comments? We have a motion and a second. All's in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So now we're down to the operations portion, and we're at approve the bid for the high school gym wall.
Yes, thank you. I can start this off and then we can pause if there's anything. I think we've got the most updated language that I'm about to read. Otherwise, again, Jake and I is needed. So bids were due back from vendors Friday, March 13th, as has been shared via email earlier this week. Excuse me. We sent our request for bids or the bid package to 9 different vendors. Received 3 official bids back. All 9 companies have done quality work. They're reputable with STR, SEG, and Door County. To summarize, the 3 official bids are as follows: IEI for $237,900, Masonry Restoration for $114,925, and Stotts Restoration, $97,355. We did receive a price quote from a 4th company. However, they would not be able to do the project until the fall, once school is back in session, and then did not fill out a bid packet. That quote was for $125, if you have a financial sense of where that falls. So after reviewing the bids, a motion to approve Stotts Restoration's bid for $97,355 is recommended.
I'll make a motion to approve Stotts Restoration bid for $97,355 for the school gym wall project.
We have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. To approve the Stotts restoration bid for $97,355 to, fix the gym wall. Further discussion?
I think we should have further discussion. Sorry. I didn't review all of the bids.
Sure.
But why is there such a big discrepancy in the cost?
Tough for me to say. Some of it, could be, right, all of these companies are gonna have their, outcome quotas to fill, like, hey, this is where we need to get to hit our goals for the year, and everything else, right, once we start bidding after that, that's just gravy, so we're gonna bid X amount, and if we get it, great, if not. I know IEI did have, I'll call it an addendum to say, hey, we think, you should be budgeting for, or within this budget would be for, new bricks on the wall, cause you do have to cut in. I don't know how much of that is that, so that's my best guess.
So I did look at them all pretty closely. So I broke the bid tab down, and so I found a couple things. So like IEI, for instance, is $441 per linear foot, right? The Stotts is $175, and Mason Restoration was only $205. So that's where the biggest gap is, I think, between one company and another. I think so. IEI was saying that the school district should actually have a contingency for brick replacement. So if we award it, right, to the one that's recommended to award, which I don't know why we wouldn't. That company is just gonna be on the hook for the brick that they break and can't put back in when they replace the lintels. So when they take brick off, and if they break them, they're gonna need to find the replacement, unless we have some in a attic stock, I don't know. That's a challenge. No, that's way too far in the weeds for us. So that's where some of those come in, right? So their overhead costs are pretty much, they're similar, between 10 and 15% for each. I think they had some markups at 25% for subcontractors. And I had subs, right, to come and power wash. I think the other guys are self-performing, so they can buy that cost down for themselves, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you, Wayne.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Is the Stotts one, I read through them all, one of them does not include brick replacement.
None of them do. Well, they'll all have to,
But it's at an additional cost
yes.
outside of what this number is. And I'm not sure if it's Stotts, but I think it was 25% they figured that they would be able to save. Something
I
like
think
that.
it was, yeah.
So there's additional money unknown on top of this number.
Right.
Yeah. How long has that wall been leaking?
You might know this better than me.
I was wondering.
Well, the dry rot on the baseline.
Mhm.
Right, I would look at when that was started. I don't think we identified a leak in the wall that was causing necessarily that spot. At that point, but that would be where I would point to.
Yeah. So it's decades.
Well,
I mean, that's.
well, the origin, so when was the weight room and wrestling room added on?
2003, maybe.
2004.
Okay, so one of the things that's been identified, and again, John Sullivan can speak to it way better than Jake or I can, although we've heard the high points. Is that the way that was attached to the building, maybe isn't the way we or a roofing consultant, or like when we did the greenhouse up front, it wasn't attached in that fashion.
Sure.
So there was a bunch of caulk in there and some other things, and so somewhere around that time till now. There's been
That
moisture.
spot's been there a lot
There's,
longer.
I'm just telling you, like, as far as leakage though in the wall, there you go, as far as the spot.
And
I don't know, I saw it
doubt
for the
that
first time
that-
12 years ago.
That was done on the cheap, for sure.
I do have a different question more to Jake about the money.
Yeah.
This isn't we have that money. You went
Yes.
over that when we were in the.
Yep, so I actually pulled up from October, my presentation. At that point, I think I put a little bit bigger number than the verbal estimate that STR was thinking. At that point, I had 190. I think my recollection is 160 is what they said, I think, for the purposes of presenting and built in 30. So, obviously much better than
Okay,
what we had,
so you feel comfortable with,
100%.
all right,
And maybe just to summarize for someone who's reading the tea leaves. So when we had the conversation as recently as 2 weeks ago tonight, right, and knowing that, okay, we're not prepared to move forward with the different roofing pieces, but that wall repair, right, and that needs to occur, that Jake had built those dollars in to the projection for next year, which I think
opposed, motion carried. Let's get that wall
Just
fixed.
so you know, I voted no. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't hear
It's okay.
that. My bad.
That's why I pointed it out.
My trigger,
Okay.
all right. Next, approve a middle school coach.
this might get more discussion than the Jim won't, no, I'm just kidding. I like to tease Dr. Jandren once in a while. So, assistant track coach, so, for Dr. John Jandren. So Principal Smallin and Athletic Director Dupuy recommend John Jandren for an assistant middle school track coach at TJ Walker. Dr. Jandren is a longtime educator, has coached multiple teams within our district. Dr. Jandren's commitment to students continues to make a lasting impact. Look forward to having him help out with the track program. So a motion to approve John Jandren as an assistant middle school track coach is recommended.
I move to approve John Jandren as an assistant middle school track coach.
That's second.
All right, we have, Commissioner Hawes made the motion and Commissioner Starr seconded to approve John Jandren as assistant middle school track coach. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. Next, approve, withdrawal from the NEW Health Consortium, which we.
Yeah, so, yeah, a lot of messages on that in the last few days, as you know. So I think if it's okay with the board, why don't I start with the notes that we put in the background document, which admittedly were written at the beginning of last week, and then I'll bring you up to speed on different conversations, including meetings today. And actually, we heard, we won't get too much into these details at this point, but we heard a couple presentations right before some of us walked in here tonight. So again, I'll start with this for the record, and then we'll fill in blanks and what we think we may or may not even need to do based on what we now know. All right. So the first paragraph, again, I will start with that for the record. As the preparation of the board meeting pack, we don't know yet what best option or options will be for a district as we navigate the health insurance renewal process as part of the NEW Health Consortium and with M3 as our broker. On March 10th, we were notified one district intends to leave the consortium. Currently believe another district will go a different direction as well. Let me just pause before going to the next paragraph. So we do know, as I've shared with you via email, that the district that had told us, yes, had officially submitted their letter. It's Gibraltar. I'm sure they're fine with us mentioning it, even though they're on spring break and missing on the snow fund this week. So the consortium did approve that resignation or withdrawal, if you will, that they had asked for from the consortium in our Zoom meeting. It was Monday morning, right, Jake? I'm keeping my days straight during the snow. Yeah. Okay. So we approved that Monday. Then we had another meeting this morning, and we had indeed received a letter from the other district that we were anticipating, that Southern Door. They had requested then to withdraw from or resign from the consortium, which what was left of the consortium, right? We have voted to approve that. That then leaves two members of the consortium right now in Sevastopol and us. Why don't I go back to the notes and then we'll kind of go back and forth. All right. So second paragraph, as you know, while we don't know that we need to leave the consortium yet to receive the most beneficial renewal options, which we will also share the latest on that. We knew that with the agenda and needing to notice things, we wanted to make sure that something was noticed, especially if we know the deadline to leave the consortium happens to be tomorrow. Now, paraphrase, you don't need me to read that whole paragraph to you. The next paragraph deals with hoping I'll go to that third line to have a clearer picture of the possibilities. And we do have a clearer picture. One of the increased numbers of 6% that would stay with Prevea 360 does match what we initially thought 2 weeks ago tonight that Jake presented to you in the projection for next year. And then we thought, oh, that wasn't going to be the case. And now we did get information from M3 today that the 6% is back on the table. Let me also just go to the next paragraph so I don't forget to finish these notes out before we fill in any other details. The whole, and this actually started tonight, bigger conversation about a longer term approach to health insurance, where the district wants to be at market, above market, below market, based on different philosophical approaches or strategy, if you will. The group heard from 2 different groups tonight, M3 and Howden, about some of their short and long-term thoughts. Let me also finish the notes. We do know on top of the next page, for now, we need to find a way to get through the current renewal in the short term. And then again, more of a conversation in the longer term, which we talked with the compensation committee reps. And again, thank you to both Commissioner Starr and Commissioner Spritka for joining the group for that, board reps tonight. And then really how I worded it, I said, for now, I'll word a potential motion as follows, and we can amend it or not as we add more information. The way I had worded it was a motion to approve withdrawing from the NEW Health Consortium is recommended. I'm just going to pause on that. You can ask me to come back to recommend the motion or not, and then we'll explain what we currently think and know as to why that may or may not be necessary. All right. What we thought, again, the beginning of last week with some of the concerning numbers that were not what we initially thought they were at 6% or less. We didn't know, like, okay, are we going to get standalone numbers or what? So the long and the short, and then I'll give Jake, Andy, and Wayne a chance based on what we talked about to add to that, to bring up the board to speed. The long and the short of that is we have with our current provider a 6% renewal that would be good if it was Sturgeon Bay as a standalone, or honored 6% if we and one other member, our neighbors to the north, Sebastopol, were members still of this NEW consortium, even if it's the 2 of us. Either way, the 6% is honored, and we definitely weren't thinking that that might end up being the case a week ago. So I think there's not that we want to be happy with 6% forever, but for a variety of different factors, right? Plus it's built in like, okay, that is workable, right? We know we can afford that, as well as some of the other things that we need to do. We received from, I'll just say for now, another carrier, an option that was really in, I'm trying to think the best way to say it, somewhere in that 8 to 10% range because of HRA and some other different costs to the district. So picture just an 8 to 10% increase with a different provider that would be contingent on us having to be with another member of the consortium, again, would happen to be Sebastopol. All right. So I think that other entity, that is a known entity, it would be more, it would also be a little broader, wider network. And so our reps tonight, whether Jake, myself, Wayne, Andy heard this, and then some of our teacher reps are learning about this as well. It was kind of like, okay, you know, on the one hand, why would we pay more? Oh, that's a broader network, but we'd have to be with Sebastopol. All right. So those are, I'm just going to pause, the 2 best known options, at least for next fiscal year. Is there anything you would add to that part of it, Jake?
I think the only other thing I would add is going with the option that's maybe a higher percent, broader network, would also give us an option to join back with the Kewaunee County School Consortium. That would still be, TBD at 100%, but it sounded like that was very much on the table if we went with that higher percent to go back with what would be Algoma, Kewaunee, and LC. Denmark is no longer part of that.
And the island.
And the island.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. Don't forget.
I was just thinking of oneself, but yes.
Jake, can you explain why that would be necessary?
To go with them. So the idea of a consortium, right, more lives on the plan, spreads out the risk, right? Right, you might perform as an individual, school better in a certain year, and maybe you can save money in that year. At the same time, when you have your tough years, we're just having more claims on the plan, being part of consortium could help, right, mitigate those quote unquote losses.
Thus still having that increase though, additional increase.
Perhaps, but also perhaps not as big of an increase as, you might otherwise see.
I have a question though too. So right now we offer Purveyor 360. Are you're kind of, are you not saying the other name of the
So-
insurance? Or would we be requiring a change of insurance for?
Purveyor 360 would be for the 6%
Mhm.
increase. So that would, who we've had the last, what, 7 years, right?
Yes.
I remember straight. A different vendor, maybe it's appropriate to say share, maybe
And
not.
it's public documents, WCA, Wisconsin Counties Association,
Okay.
Group Health Trust. UH.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would require employees to have different health insurance.
Yes, we would.
Correct.
health
And
insurance.
what was the feedback that you got from the people that do have you know what I mean? Like, how did the faculty feel about changing insurance?
I don't know that we had a big feedback session. We still have 2 more groups to listen to.
Got
And then have that session, I think. is
Following,
the
yeah.
next step.
We have a 3:30, yeah, so we have brokers today, and again, it's in email, I realize not everyone's had a chance to see everything, because it's been a busy, several days. So we had a presentation today at 3:30 PM. Presentation today at 4:30 PM, and then we kind of did a little bit of just reviewing, not so much as far as a preferred
Mhm.
vendor per se, but like, okay, a little bit about what we learned in the short and the long term,
Yeah.
trying to set us up then for Monday, when we have a 3:30 presentation and a 4:30 presentation from 2 additional brokers, so talking to a total of 4, and then we'll have a debrief session after that. We were gonna start and have one at 3:30 yesterday with the weather and everything. That we told them like, all right, let's reschedule you for next Monday.
Following up on Andrew's question, are all 4 of these potential groups, like they cover the hospital and the providers at the hospital here, right?
Yeah, they know our context, depending on what they're from, they're gonna call it different names. Like even as we were talking about what the county has or whatnot, people are aware of our unique, peninsula geography. Sorry, I just pointed to my thumb with the whole peninsula. How often have I done that to people? I don't know. And that we need a working relationship with them, but then it's a matter of how much broader or wider, and that's why, like the example, I think Commissioner Meyer, a little bit to your question, like, okay, we could go a different route, but yes, it would involve a change. You're spot on, Angie. And then the concept of, oh yeah, and it would still be an increase, although yes, theoretically, we could get back in if we wanted to with the Kewaunee County group, and how does that position us or not for the future?
So we spoke with brokers today, not the health insurance companies, and the brokers are gonna go help us find the insurance companies. And the brokers are very well aware, we're not gonna do an insurance plan without GCMC
Right.
in that plan.
Okay.
The WCA plan is actually more broad. You would be able to go to DCMC, but you would actually be able to get coverage at other places in the whole state, honestly. They mentioned, if you've got kids at school, those kind of things. The WCA does require us to be partnered with Sebastopol. They would have to say yes as well. And whatever we decide, this is for 1 year. So that 6% could be a Band-Aid for 1 year until we look at a long-term plan. Because there are a lot of different options out there, one being self-funded. We don't need to get down the rabbit hole on there. But it's long-term, I think that there's much more option than what we're just looking at for the next
So
year.
it's kind of frustrating, and I feel like we've done this every year where we're like, what do we do? And then get caught where it's like, well, we can have a 2-year contract and it like spreads out this huge increase that we had to stomach. And so when you talk about longer term solutions, can you just speak really briefly, like, is it like a 10-year plan or a 5-year plan?
You could go 10 years. on this.
If you do 10 years with an insurance company, I think that would be great. But I don't think they would ever need it.
They just
So-
do like a year or 2 years, that's all they do.
Well, they might do 4 or 5.
We had the 5-year with Prevea, right, which was very unique as they were wanting to buy into the market and so on and so forth, right, where we had right, it dropped. right? We went down, was it 15%?
Yep.
And then we had zeros for a couple of years, and then what was it, 2.9% increase, 3.9, right? So highly irregular, and because of that, we did not, there weren't gonna be other competitive bids as we came out of that 5 years, right? Because the numbers just, they didn't come out for another company, right? Which we understood. We're now, so 2 more years with Prevea, 360. And so really where we're at was, we're looking for a little more of a competitive bid environment, but also combined with what we talk about every year, not only with our teachers, right, as our largest employee group, right, as they should be, but talk about with you folks, like, okay, if we're working with teachers, and whether it's the salary ladder or PTO or post-employment, but you know, some of the stuff we've already worked through, like, that's still all predicated on available dollars. Right, so as I've talked to colleagues, and Jake and I talk a lot, and then we think about the conversations with teachers and with you, we actually got to a point where, even before this thing kind of started to blow up in the last couple of weeks, it was like, well, you know, next year would be a great time to really, let's put our heads together, and rather than probably putting that energy into a salary ladder mini committee or conversation, because again, where's the money for that, especially with the whole health insurance, like, let's put it into health insurance. And then as all of a sudden the numbers, right, what we told you 2 weeks ago tonight, where we thought that was like the ceiling 6%, and then we found out what, it might be double or triple that. Then all of a sudden it started fast forwarding, like, okay, what does this look like? And then I shared with the group tonight, but basically Jake and I were having a conversation, and it was like, boy, somehow we got to get through the current renewal. But we're at a point now where we want to have a longer term strategic conversation. That doesn't just involve Jake and me sitting in on all these exciting meetings or board reps, but like teachers to be able to have a conversation. And so that's why we're not talking with the insurance companies themselves, the 2 tonight, the 2 Monday, but those are the brokers who on our behalf look at them as what, advising us, advocating for us, representing us, going out and negotiating for us with the different insurance companies to kind of say, okay, what can you do for Sturgeon Bay? So we'll do what we got to do to get through this next year. And again, I think it's okay to say, like, okay, we're fairly pleased the 6% with Prevea back on the table. We don't have teachers that have to experience a lot of, you know, that stuff. I think that's going to be pretty straightforward, probably. But finding a broker to part with, whether it continues to be M3 or one of the other options, to really talk with us and our staff about, hey, how do we want to approach some of this stuff? And then, you know, what does that look like that might be different over time from what we've had historically? Whether it's self-funded or who knows what else it could be over time.
Yeah, and one of the thoughts I had, you know, because the brokers aren't doing it for free, right? They're gonna make their money, but if like if we were part of a consortium still with Sebastopol, and let's say we decided to work together, well, then you're splitting that broker fee. So there's just a lot of different ways that you can attack this going down the road. And we'll see what the other quotes come in, the proposals, and
Yeah, a couple other broker conversations and go from there. Now, at least we have a workable quote. That's the important thing for you to know and for teachers to know, right? The whole health insurance, it's, you know, it's a big topic. Private industry is dealing with it, right? Public, right? Sectors dealing with it, individuals, retirees, everybody's dealing with it. And that might be, I don't want to give too much away, and I don't normally mention when we have press in the room, but Eleanor and I've been in conversation on, well, probably a number of different topics. And we got talking about this, and I said, you know, an article or even series on health insurance might be a good idea. And she said, Dan, I'm going to start learning more about this. And here she is tonight to learn some of this, and we'll be in touch, I'm guessing, tomorrow. So I think there's all those pieces that are going on, and see kind of where this could lead.
6% in from my view, knowing a little bit of insurance at the hospital, what we've gone through over the last few years, I think 6% is a really good number.
And then okay, I'll stop asking questions soon, but retired teachers, do we also cover their health insurance too?
Yes. Not all of them. So, right, we switched to PTO a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But we allowed the teachers, basically all of them that started prior to 2000, they had been on the old plan, and we gave those hired between 2000 and 2013 an option to go to the TSA.
The new post-employment benefit. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Post-employment benefit. Only one of those teachers hired between 2000 and 2013 said, I want to keep health insurance as my retirement benefit. So we have 4 teachers still working for us, hired prior to 2000, that when they retire, will receive the health insurance benefit. And
For how
then,
long though?
I want to say for 4 years. Those 4 would each get 4 years. Trying to think if there's one left. I don't think so. I think they're all at 4 years max. So it'd be a 3-year base plus whatever they turn in. What's that?
Or until they reach 65.
Or until they reach 65.
Yeah, depending on
If
how
they,
old they are when they retire, actually, it could be less.
we have, I'm gonna call it 10 retirees on our health insurance right now. Don't quote me on that number, but that's gonna be.
I just quoted.
Okay.
And that is all data you've provided to, right, you and Kim, and now Brenda's in Kim's position, right, to the consortium, right? All the districts share the data, like who is eligible or who's left to become eligible and all those types of things, right? So long story short is, right, for anyone tracking this at home, right, like, so most of that has transitioned away, right? We have some, but most of our teachers are on kind of the new model, right, where we, award them dollars based on the years they're here, and then that's that.
The last point I'd throw out there is just that,
Feel free.
when you look at healthcare now, procedures, things that you would go in for, usually you can go and get those costs before you go in. And they're somewhat being controlled now by different insurance reimbursements, those kind of things. The big thing is pharmacy and drugs. And because we talked about it in the meeting, but I mean, how long do you watch TV before you see 5 drug commercials, right? And so that's where a lot of this concern is regarding the medication part.
Back to the item itself. So Randy from Sebastopol and I have been in very open communication, and I mean, brokers are aware that, so for example, one of the folks we talked to tonight, right, is gonna be presenting at Sebastopol. The first broker we hear from on Monday is presenting at Sebastopol on Tuesday, right? So as we have talked about it, even before we knew we'd be the last 2 left in the consortium, we have said, hey, whether the consortium kind of fold, whether it's just the 2 of us or not, like, we can coordinate as those brokers know to have a chance to talk to both of us. And whether we're officially connected as a consortium, or we're just kind of parallel making what we think is the best decision we can, but we're sharing information, giving the brokers a chance to talk to both of us. That's kind of the best we can do, I think. Back to the question at hand, as President Stefani, not that you've had to call the question yet, but the concept of, now that we know we have the 6%, whether we're connected with another member of the consortium, happens to be Sebastopol, or not, now I'm not worried about saying, okay, I need us, because what if the only workable figure we had was if we were a standalone, right? Then I would be saying to the group tonight, boy, we have to leave the consortium regardless of how many districts are in it to get the best figure available. Well, the best figure available is open to us either way. And if we would get information in the coming days from a broker, that would lead us to say, okay, maybe we want to work with this broker, and it turns out Sebastopol wants to work with a different broker. Well, we got some time to take care of it. I would argue we're really not beholden to the entire consortium deadline that technically is tomorrow, because we're the only 2 left, and we're both working together. And if it's like, oh, we want to go with this broker and maybe they want to go with a different, that just kind of takes care of it.
So would it make sense to potentially table this?
I think yes. I know different scenarios Jake and I have talked about. If we felt under a crunch, where in the short term, theoretically, the board could say, okay, Jake and Dan for now, just kind of get us through the next several days. And then on that list of upcoming dates that I have kind of for you, and I've shared it with the teacher committee reps too, kind of the bottom date that we currently know is our April board meeting, which happens to be on April 15th. Like, okay, between now and talking with folks on Monday, by the time I think some of us leave the debrief session on Monday, we'll have a pretty good sense of what we're thinking. And then probably by about the same time on Tuesday, I'm going to guess Sebastopol has a pretty good idea of what they're thinking. And even though we don't have a meeting between there and April 15th, I think we're able to figure it out. What would you add to that?
My only question is, do we need board approval?
one.
So let's say we do choose different brokers.
Yep.
Do we need this board's approval for us to leave? At that point, because then April 15th would be a tough deadline if we wanted to switch brokers.
Yeah, so thinking out loud, as we've talked to the brokers, they have a little bit of a different approach as far as us signing a document with them or not, to be able to start working on our behalf to try to get numbers. All right, if coming out of Monday, again, I'm thinking out loud, coming out of Monday's conversation, we say, okay, broker Mike Stefani group, all right, that's who we want to go with. I mean, we could by consensus simply reach out to them and say, hey, here's the direction we're going. I mean, I'm right authorized if they need a signature on a letter to say, hey, you officially be working for us, and be getting numbers on our behalf. Like, I guess I'm comfortable with that, but I think Jake and I just want to be clear, we don't want to do something that's a misstep with the board either. Because in the end, really what we'd be looking, each spring, we have the board approve the actual health insurance offering, right? Even if it's known well in advance, like that 5-year thing, we still give it the stamp of approval in spring for enrollment or whatever it needs to occur. From that perspective, I think we're covered, but admittedly, we're in a little bit of uncharted waters here.
What happens if we stay part of the consortium? And we just were part of it, can we still go and just negotiate our own insurance? Like, is there a downside to being part of the consortium?
I mean, theoretically, if you're a consortium of one, in the here and now, it doesn't change anything in the short term. It allows, I suppose, a like-minded district to, or entity to join us in the future if beneficial to both. I'm thinking of just parallel conversations we've had with the other groups.
I think what you said, Andy, about splitting the broker fees made sense to me. Like, it sounds like there, and you also talked about, oh, you know.
So there's no broker fees, they're gonna be paid on commissions per member.
Oh, but it's so it's advantageous for the broker to have us be a consortium then. I think,
Then we get both schools together, yeah.
but we get the 6% whether we're with Sebastopol or not, and so we're just leaving.
They would and we would, so
Yeah.
we're not leaving each other hanging either way.
So then I think that makes sense to just state it, like, we should just table the motion to break up the consortium then, right?
Well, if you table it, then we'd stay in it until at earliest next meeting when we could re-vote on it. There's a deadline that we leave sooner than that, but who knows, I don't think there's any like punishment or consequence to.
I think the deadline's moot because the next step would be essentially to disband and there's no deadline to disband.
So then tabling for a month to get the rest of the quotes.
I think we even said between Sebastopol, the broker, and us this morning, like, whether we want to look at it as modifying the bylaws, or just saying, well, the deadline doesn't matter anymore, especially if we end up going with 2 different brokers. It just basically dissolves or disbands in that
I
regard.
mean, we could make it official in writing or something, but.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I think, just so everyone's clear, it's designed, especially when you have multiple members, right? When these insurance companies give the broker like, okay, it's gonna be this % to all of you districts, whether it's the same number or even if they're slightly different, it's based off of, right, that many different members on the plan. If all of a sudden it's 1 or 2 fewer districts, that's why the deadline comes up. Now they gotta recalculate, and that usually means the increase gets higher. That's why that protection was in there. It really wasn't designed for, I think, a situation where we're the last 2 members and we're just figuring it out.
Yeah, I just, you wonder if any of the other proposals would come in that says you guys have to be together. Then we would still want to be able to look at that, I guess.
Yeah, not based on what we currently know, whether there was a decline to quote or the number would have been so high, they basically said this is a decline to quote. That's why there was the 2 that we heard about tonight. Or the 2 within range. Were you about to say something?
Procedurally, we just take no action. There's no tabling, right?
Right, we just don't, nobody.
But it's the term, yeah, you just.
Yeah.
No one makes
Take no
a
action,
motion.
move on to the line.
No.
Okay.
That makes sense to me if the group is good with it.
So then, on this point, I'd like to just Google on till we get more information and we just go on to the next topic. That's okay. Is everybody okay with that?
And
Alright.
if need be, couldn't we have a special meeting?
If something out of arose, we,
Got
Yeah,
really down to.
great point. Great.
But I was thinking about like putting a motion that says, no, we would leave no earlier than the date. You know, which would protect us until that date, but not taking any action makes more sense to me.
yeah. All right,
Works for me.
update on summer school programming.
Informational item. I don't know, Jen or principals, did anyone have something they had to comment on? Or otherwise, we just wanted to make sure this was a part of the written record, right? For the public and anyone. Those are the 3 weeks of summer school. We've had a fair amount of conversation the last several years on different summer school details as far as support for kids, families, learning loss, some of the reading plan information you've heard about before. And again, while the district doesn't make money off of summer school, even though that's what sometimes people say, this does add to our different, you know, our FTE student count. Thank you, Eleanor. That Jake talks with us, and then the implications for that, the way school finance works in Wisconsin. So that's really what we have. Otherwise, you can read the rest as far as working with Covisyn, the Y, etc. I know I appreciate whether it's Director Weber, the principals, secretaries. We've had a couple teachers that have been key leaders to get a lot of this organized in the past, and we'll have some teacher leadership again. Appreciate everyone's help with that.
Is it really just 2 morning sessions, not a morning and afternoon session? Cause it says 8:30 to 11:30, but then it says morning and afternoon.
Oh, it should say, sorry,
No, that's.
it does end at 11:30 with kids leaving with a big lunch, so it should have said first session, second session.
Think maybe the afternoon comes in with some of the secondary level sports and weight room and camps, perhaps.
So to that question, because I've heard a little bit about the summer school offerings. When is the gym project gonna happen?
The exact schedule TBD, that
You
was.
talked about that.
The Stats knows, here's our schedule.
Yeah.
Right, we're relatively flexible, just let us know if there's day or days we need to be out of there.
Yeah.
Give us plenty of heads up, so, yeah, we're confident in that.
Thank you.
That was informational, so that's all we have, other than I think our reports and brief closed session.
So reports, here we are. Any legislative, CISA committee seminars, anything? Hearing none, then let's go to the high school. Word first, Mr. Nerby.
Lieutenant Chernagel took my
Sorry about that.
thrilling talking points. No, we are excited to welcome our students back today, and as a parent, I'm excited to have them back in school. It was fun few days. A few quick things at the high school, believe it or not, Q3 ends next week already. We have exams Thursday and Friday, which means at the high school we have early release days. Both of those days, the students take periods 1 and 2 on Thursday and 3 and 4 on Friday. That went very quickly. Then on Friday afternoon, right after school gets out, there's a group of students going on the band trip. And I get to chaperone and go along with them. This was not a body built for a 26-hour bus ride, but we're gonna give it a go there and back. But it'll be a lot of fun. The kids have been working extremely hard for their performances that they're doing there. It's gonna be exciting. All right, when we get back, Q4, April 6th, we start with Q4. We have forward testing at the high school that week. As a reminder for what the high school forward testing looks like, we just test sophomores, and it's just social studies is the only test that they take at the high school. Switching gears just a little bit, as Dan had mentioned, Dan, myself, and Mrs. O'Hanley met with Tammy from NWTC. Dan shared a little bit of what some of that conversation was, but I'm going to share some of the data. What they shared with us is last year, Sturgeon Bay High School, we had 502 credits. That's 502 college credits earned by our students this past year, which in terms of tuition costs saved our families almost $86,000. So pretty exciting and pretty impressive, I think.
Yes.
Of those 502 credits, 79% were transcripted credits, which means kids are taking classes right here, but they're the same classes that they could take at NWTC, but they're taught by our teachers. So they're earning high school credit and college credit. The other 21% are those that they're taking at colleges themselves to earn those credits. And finally, we were supposed to hold our academic awards ceremony last night. Because of the weather, that had to be postponed. We are still working on what that day will look like. As you can imagine, trying to figure that out after the fact is a little bit difficult because our students are in so many different events and activities. So a group of us are working together to try and find the least conflicting time for our students to hold that. It will be after spring break though, but we'll get that out to our families as soon as we have that date selected. Okay.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Smolin?
Principal already addressed that we have testing going on that starts tomorrow, actually, with our eighth graders are doing science and social studies tests, and then we've been doing small groups with sixth and seventh grade, and then when we get back from spring break, we really kick it in gear with all grades. But what I want to share with you guys is here, all familiar with is we put a little bit of behind the scenes effort doing some fundraising and getting Mr. Hockers to lead our Bex robotics team. They competed in 2 tournaments. They won some awards when they're in Fond du Lac, and actually 3 teams we have. And they all qualified for the state championship, which is, didn't know there was a Bex state championship. And of course, it was up in Green Bay at the ref center. Over 700 kids were involved. Now, we didn't place, but I think it's just a huge accomplishment to see that we're one of 3, one of the schools, small school, first year doing this basically over lunchtime. I look forward to seeing what we can actually put together with our kids. Doing this as a class next year, and I think you're really talented kids. I think you're going to see more and hear more about that. Just this is like a second language. They already learned like 5 of the 7 programming languages that they put together. There's 2 or 3 kids that really stand out. I touched base with Jake Schultz. We're going to have a little visit with some of his programmers. Going to give us a little tour of what they do. And then talk to these 3 teams and just with some possibilities that are out there just in the county. So it's just a pretty cool thing that happened. So just that happened 2 weeks ago. So.
Excellent.
Did you give the kids an extra day on the testing? Is it supposed to happen today?
Did I give I don't give the kids any. So, no, I did not. But on a different topic, I could use you next Friday as we have our staff student basketball game if you want to be an honorary staff person, because we are thin. And that class is rough and tough. We've never lost, but I can tell you, it's gonna be,
It might be the first year.
This will be an ultimate payback, so thank you, gracious.
Mark, that robotics class is what age?
That's basically the 7th and 8th graders. They've been doing a fantastic job. So they come at lunch, a couple kids that really stood. Elliot Brown, he's one of the young men, Jace Wisnowski at your corner, Penny Kudrowski, those are like 4 kids that really stand out. They just did a fantastic job. So.
What a cool opportunity.
Yeah, really cool stuff. I think more and more of those things are gonna be happening down the road.
Thank you.
I have a quick district question. How are we on snow days? Are we we have to make up days or?
I might have an item for you tonight. And we didn't even coordinate that.
This is Smolin, you have,
Suspense will be building, won't it?
you have the com here. What do we got?
Right, so report cards went home today, and we'll start forward testing next week. We have a lot of tests at this grade range. 4th graders get slammed with 11 tests, so that'll happen next week. We kind of delayed it for this week, just getting everyone back in their headspace after being gone a little bit. We're really excited about summer school. Lemonade stand is back, edible chemistry is back, robotics class is back, so that's great. So it's really fun to see that love at the elementary level. We do have a sea perch update, which is like underwater robotics. It's like a theme here. We did our 5th grade sea perch team qualify for regionals, and they competed against 3rd through 8th graders, and some of the teams been together for a while, and they're like gifted and talented schools, yada yada. They did really well. Jack Vandervelden, Dalton Smith, and Kyrie Johnson, they worked together. They had the 3rd fastest time in the obstacle course, and they finished a respectable 9th.
Excellent.
So I thought that was pretty good. Mr. Paralero, huge shout out again. It's like he gave up a bunch of lunches to meet with these kids to do the last minute changes, and I just and the Y and the Maritime Museum, everybody kind of works together to make it happen. So it's a really cool thing. And then our Battle of the Books, our small team of Harper, Jenner, John, Ingrid Back, Emma Angela, and Zoe Visti, they went on to compete in the state battle. They got 31st out of 235 teams. So again, respectable. We'll just keep inching our way up. So yeah, that's the status at Sunrise.
And I'm wondering, you had Jack Vanderbilt in here, I think, right? Maybe with his spelling bee escapades, right, as the one, maybe he could have gotten them some bonus points even for the contest as well as they did already, so
There's some crossover.
I'm
there
just putting it
happening.
out there.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Just a few things from Sawyer. As Katie said, report cards went home today. Also conferences happened recently now. I always ask the teachers about the conferences and their percentages, and we had on average 94% of parents come to conferences. So it's important to us that anytime there's an opportunity that we do that, and teachers are asked to make 3 contacts, and they really work hard. And so I was really impressed with and pleased with that percentage. So thanks to our staff and our parents who came out. I had written in my written report about Wisconsin Reading Corps, working with Sunrise and the coaches at Sunrise and Katie, we completed an application. This is an organization that trains volunteers to add extra time, reading time in schools. Not intervention per se, but it's similar to our curriculum and how we do things. And we were awarded at Sawyer too. And so we're excited to meet with this organization, get people trained up and get some more adults in our schools reading with our kids, just to help some of them get over that hump. I was excited. Yeah.
We recognized Aaron tonight, right?
Yeah.
So I think you shared the admin team meeting, but maybe some of our board members would be interested what starts tomorrow.
Tomorrow, our new secretary starts with Erin side by side. Her name is Hope Herbst, and we're excited to have her. I know she's anxious to get started. Erin has been going through files and she's working really hard, you know. I think that they'll be together working side by side till the 27th, so spring break. And Erin wants more time. She's like, I don't know if I can get it all out, but it'll be good. We'll get it going, and we're excited to welcome Hope to Saline. Yeah.
Which, as again, the board, I think, as we talked about this with the Sunrise transition, right? So then Hope will be on board the remainder of the year.
Yeah.
So next August, when teachers, kids, families are coming back, or some of our youngest ones are coming in for the first time, right?
Yeah.
She will, she won't be brand new, and we know that'll be helpful from what staff have told us in the past.
Yeah, we're excited to have her. Thanks.
Very good. And do you have any update on personal note from maybe a grandbaby who's looking to make an appearance?
So staff meetings, board meetings. I keep checking my phone because we're all a little nervous in the DeVillers household. Interactions have been happening intermittently. We're expecting a new grandson anytime. Yay. Yeah.
Not to keep you from that, but I
Yeah.
just wanted to ask the radios that you're applying for a grant for.
The radio, oh, sure, I can tell you.
I'm
that.
just wondering, like, what was the total cost of that?
I think it's right around 13,000
Okay.
for 30 radios.
Good.
Included in that, they're giving us a bus radio. It's a used radio with the new battery that will be able, I can't wait, we'll be able to talk directly to the buses when there's crazy things happening. And so we're excited to see if we get that grant and we're able to do it. We were able to use building funds for half of it. So, yeah.
Are those like nice Motorola, like?
They are Kenwood.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
yes, and it's a step up. Not only that, but we're excited to have our own frequency.
Yeah.
So not when, I really don't want to say when, if an emergency would ever happen, the ones we have now, anybody who's close to us can hear.
Yep.
And so we use them for the day-to-day operation, but then that's a one-time cost of re-up. I think it's $100 a year to re-up. And then if any other schools or any of us in the district, we'd all be on the same frequency. Cool. So I'm excited for that.
So you'll be able to talk to the bus drivers too?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Safety piece.
and Derek has been a part of this conversation, our SRO officer, so he's helped us to understand how we'll be able to communicate.
Okay.
Or he'll be able to hear our communication and all kinds of stuff.
I think that's so great, cause like earlier this year, I raised like a question about if we could get the buses on the apps or something and like.
Yeah.
Stuff, but that was actually more, like every option I think was more expensive than this.
Yeah.
And so thanks for finding a different pathway to solve the problem. And I'm not,
We want-
I know a lot of parents will appreciate that.
Yeah, we've wanted to
Yeah.
do that for a long time, and, the rep we're working with, works with Cobus, and he knows what kind of radios and what they're doing, he's been from the area, I guess, and yeah, so we're all good, and we just have to get that grant and then get those radios and then do a little training and staff, but they're very helpful to us every day, so, yeah, we're excited.
And you have half of it raised? Is that what- Did you say?
I'm using building budget for half of it, yeah.
Good.
Mhm.
Thanks.
Thank you, Katie.
Yeah,
Thank you, Katie.
Director Weber, what do we know?
I always get to follow the best topics, radios. I'm gonna go back to the baby though, because before, this is funny. The phone buzzed, Katie, I hope it's okay if I share this, during the reception, the phone buzzed and she's like, oh, this is my son. So I watch her and she's texting, and then she comes back, she's like, he wanted to know where the hamburger was. Okay, so, I had 4 items on my list, and luckily the team took care of a number of them, including summer school, but I will just mention that, summer school registration went live during the snowstorm. So, we tried to strategically release the text. You all should have gotten it as well. So far, since then, at around 11 o'clock today, we had, about 60 students registered so far. So, great, across the board, mostly, of course, at the elementary school where we have the most, offerings. A few of the team mentioned, both ACT and forward testing. Yes, we are well underway. I just wanna, make sure I give a shout out to the people behind the scenes working to make sure that all of that stuff happens. I mean, every device has to be touched and looked at and checked to make sure it's doing what it needs to do, and that is no small feat. So thank you to my team and to the staff members and, proctors in each of the buildings who just step up and make sure that everybody has what they need. And when there's 3 unexpected no school days, we just shift everything and figure it out. So thank you to everyone who is working on that. I will skip in-service for now, but we did have a successful February in-service, and we are planning already our May in-service. I do want to mention that, you might, remember me talking about what we call a lunch and learn. And these are staff wellness events, designed to, provide food, but also a little bit of education. This last time, Craig Siegel, who is part of the district wellness team, arranged for 2 events. One based on physical fitness, fire fitness came in and did a presentation for our staff, upstairs in the middle school, and, financial fitness. So Pinkert Law Firm was here. They had a huge turnout, and they talked to us, about wills and trusts, which doesn't sound interesting, but it was very interesting, and they had everyone's attention. Finally, it would be ridiculous for me not to mention the fact that the lunch part of the lunch and learn is actually covered by our food service department, and they do. I mean, if you have not had our school lunch, you're really missing out. So, they fed a ton of people on what is supposed to be a day off. And it was fantastic. Finally, I'll just mention, another shout out to that food service team. So storm happened. Director Spooty is still trapped in her house. Matthew Road has not been plowed. And of course, she is panic stricken. So we were texting back and forth, and we try to make sure that everything gets covered. I assured her that we would all step up to help if we needed to today. So keep in mind that they feed breakfast, second breakfast, and lunch to all of our schools in the district, plus St. John Bosco, every single day. And so I got here, like I do, pretty early in the morning, and I walked right down to the kitchen and said, all right, ladies, what do we need? And they looked at me, they're like, we don't need anything, we're good, we're fine. And so poor Jenny is sitting at her home having a panic attack, and that team just pulls everything together and pulled everything off, and nobody would have known that the director wasn't on campus today. So shout out to the food service team. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen.
Jake?
I had a bunch of fragmented reports this week or for this meeting. I'm gonna skip though to what I sent, just a couple hours ago, and is in front of you. Business manager report number 3. So what this is looking at hourly staff for, call it extended closures, and, right, looking at missing 3 days in a row and having that be a larger portion of their paycheck. We do have historic precedents for, working with them on this, back in 2019. We had, 2 days off or 2 days, closed in successive weeks, so 4 total in January. And at that time, what we said was, hourly staff that doesn't have vacation, so, right, they can't just take a vacation day and still get paid. Rather than missing 4 days of a paycheck, the first 2 days of closures would be, unpaid, and then the second 2 days, they would be allowed to use sick time. Any sick time that they had built up. So, and then any staff that has to be on site, so think maintenance staff, IT, we would pay them, a little bit of a premium for every 8 hours they worked. We would, pay them an extra hour, non-overtime, for their time coming in, through the weather to make sure we can still run when we get back. So we also use that as a basis in the early days of COVID. We were trying to just figure out our way through. And we kind of did that back in 2024. We had 2 days off, and then a half day later in the week. And we said that at that point, we said the aides could just stay for that half day and work in the afternoon if there was something available. So with that in mind, our plan at the moment, does not need board approval, but, we had the opportunity and wanted to make sure everyone is on the same page and listen to any suggestions or thoughts. So our plan would be to essentially say, anybody without vacation time, and wasn't required to come in, can take a sick day for Tuesday of this week. And then Friday and Monday would be unpaid. And then our, any staff that was in for every 8 hours they worked, we would give them, pay them a ninth. I know it on here as I looked at, there was some PTSD as I looked at emails through from COVID, and from 5 years ago or 7 years ago. One of the big questions at that time was, what does this mean for the budget? Nothing, right? When I budget for hourly staff, I budget for them to work every day of scheduled school. Right? So, you know, in reality, we're still saving a couple dollars, though we are giving some of that back to maintenance for their time to make sure they could get in, and help us out. So that's where we're at. Dan, anything to add?
Nope.
Okay. Any thoughts on bad idea, good idea? What about?
I think it's a good idea to take care of, people, if they're losing their pay, then they have bills to pay, I think. That solution.
Good middle of the road.
Good.
Help them out.
Anybody else? All right, appreciate the feedback.
For mine, I'll just highlight a couple items. I know we have short closed session. Late in the finance facilities operations, I've got just update on the outdoor sports complex. And again, depending on who was around for learning session, I know there were a couple conversations after that and then in days that followed. And so I know when talking with President Stefani, the thinking was, okay, let's try to give them an opportunity since we knew the March learning session was so full and we don't have one in April because of the way spring break falls, to try to give them a shot for a segment of the May 6th learning session. And that provided that goes well. And again, the board questions and, all the stuff that folks need answered is answered, that it could be as early as May 20th to take action on kind of the concept of improving the concept itself, right? Not any committed dollars with that. So more to come on that, but that's kind of the short version as, again, different folks have, been in contact.
Dan, on that
Go ahead.
point, if I can just add.
Yeah.
You, all of us received, you got that email with a lot of attachments on this. If I could just ask, please make sure you take some time and actually read all of that. So that you're well versed, so by the time we get into the May learning session. You're versed, so that we're not answering, because sometimes. I think we've had some things, we've answered questions that really were already in your purview. You know, I'm not saying anybody specifically, it's just. Read the material, because there's a lot there, and a lot of people took a lot of time to put that together for you. So review it, and then if you have more questions, even in advance of the May. For maybe we can go ahead and reach out, and we can get those answered, so that we can have a more productive learning session, and then a productive. Hopefully we'll move the ball forward. Again, we are not committing dollars, we're just trying to move the ball forward before it loses steam.
I'll add that, I really appreciated what they sent. I looked through it all and I thought it was like better presentation, but that's because I told them I edited their first version.
That's
And
good.
then, so I think it's better and I think it's really clear and hopefully it, has meets the mark for relaying the information clearly.
Yeah, well, thanks for everybody. I mean, I know Andy, you've had questions and good dialogue back and forth. Just Wayne, you're in on, I mean, this is, to bring the questions, get them answered so we can move forward. So good.
Just real quick, as we prep for that learning session, I sent out an email about having met with Craig Siegel. I would ask that as you're talking to that committee or that group, he be the one to do the presentation.
Yeah,
Because
he talked to us after the last meeting, so I don't. Yeah, he's very vested and he's very
vested, but he's much more clear and concise.
Yeah.
I mean, when he talks to you, you're not worried about signing on a dotted line for anything.
right.
Okay, he explains all that. So I'm just saying, if you have questions, he's a good person to reach out to.
Excellent.
Anybody else on that for the moment? Okay.
Talk
Yeah,
like you're.
it's almost like he's a teacher.
Yes,
That's right.
great.
You can talk with as adults, he used to talk to middle school kids all day, right? I did, add a note on here and Mike's aware, but, did carve out time on that Wednesday, May 6th. Prior to the learning session is when I'm planning to have our usual new school board member orientation session. So again, we know based on what we have with 4 people running for 3 slots, we'll have at least 1 new member of the board. So again, we coordinated some dates and whatnot. We'll get that going. We have an agenda, what we've done in the past, as people are aware. But did kind of do that. I'll skip all the health insurance stuff. And then there wasn't anything else. Just kidding. There's one more thing, because Commissioner Cruz may have asked about this. So the bad news for spring break. Just kidding. All right, so 3 categories. Jake's already addressed one with hourly staff. So students, so principals are double checking their math based on what we currently know. Let's have fun, because it really is Principal Nerby and Principal Small right, grades 7 through 12 have the higher threshold. So the bad news, but good news, Keith and Mark, is so far so good. That's right. So we're still good. So remember, full day kindergarten through grade 6 needs 1,050 hours of instructional hours certified that we certify to the DPI. Grades 7 through 12 need 1,137 hours. And that's where sometimes when you get into multiple closures, some of you might recall when we added a few minutes to the middle and high school day coming out of spring break. So we know that's a strategy. Hopefully, we don't have more closures coming up that we could use. We also had a time, once upon a time, where the high school on the very last day of school in June had a full day, modified their exam schedule when everyone else had a half day like we would have. So there's a couple different levers we can pull if we need them. I think at least one of our neighbors is already into that, trying to figure that out because of being closed again today, and I don't know where they're at. They send me the occasional picture of how some of the country roads look for for them in their outlying areas. I don't know where they're at for tomorrow. So anyway, student wise, to the question, good news, set hourly staff. We've got the game plan with the Tuesday piece and the extra. It's not a lot, but it's a special thank you to our maintenance staff that really kicked butt. Going back really to Friday, for those that don't know, right? I mean, as unpleasant as that was, and I was kind of on the fence in the morning as some things started to happen with, well, we had in contact, right? Trees and branches down and power plus the other stuff. It was like, ooh, that ended up being a messier deal than maybe we would have thought it would have been. So that worked out. And thank goodness we had crews, like literally the picture your snow blower. The snow blower concept on some of our equipment wasn't working because it was so slushy. So basically what they did is they turned the snow blower part off and they drove that equipment and they used it almost like a plow to try to push that wet slushy stuff out of the different places. So that when it then froze, because some places didn't take care of that, you can imagine the mess they had underneath all that snow, which is part of the problem people were running into. So kudos again to maintenance staff on that, as well as the tremendous job they and the city, frankly, have done the last couple of days. I mean, even being in town, as you know, where I live, like I wasn't going anywhere until about 2 days ago, late afternoon. And then all of a sudden, oh, all right, we could at least knew we'd get out. And then the work, as I and others drove around yesterday, was just amazing to see. So that was awesome. So thank you to all of them. On the professional staff side, I've got the little blurb and the board is aware we've done this before. Excuse me. In our professional staff handbook, so that's like the teacher information, we have a calendar section. There's some language about the first 2 days do not need to be made up. Others basically will be made up or scheduled by the superintendent. The way we've done this, although certainly it's an option to add professional staff time in or professional development time for teachers in June. Years of doing this has told me that often does not go so well. For different reasons. So while that is an option, and if I hear enough complaints on the alternate option that has worked well for most people most of the time, then one of these times, as I told you, like, that's just what we're doing. And they can blame each other for complaining. But the reality is, the plan is to allow makeup time. That's in essence principal approved. We're coming up with some of the tasks, like some of the ADA compliance Jen has talked with us about. Each teacher has anywhere from a little bit of time to some maybe a lot of time to put in. One of the examples Principal Nerby shared, right? He's been talking with his staff. If they have a class that maybe has only been taught as a block, that they need a little bit of time, or maybe a little more time, depending if they have multiples, to transition that over to more of the traditional length classes, like a number of our classes have already been, right? So stuff that is a very appropriate, helpful for that school, that group of teachers, that group of kids next year, or whatnot, where they can then make up those 14 hours, what we call it, the 2 days worth so far, appropriately outside the regular workday, but still getting helpful stuff without having to string out the year further into summer. So we've done that. I don't even know, Mark, what, 2 or 3 times before we've had to do this?
Yeah.
And so that's the plan that we're gonna do, just so you know. I will stop on then.
Okay, so do we have a motion to move into closed session?
Make a motion to move into closed session. Point A 19.5, part 1C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Point I, consideration of preliminary notice of non-renewal of future contract, and then return to open session.
I'll second.
Ready? We have a motion. What was it?
Roll call, vote of closed session.
Yeah. We have a motion by Commissioner Hawes, second by Commissioner Starr, to go into closed session 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercise responsibility. Point 1, consideration of preliminary notice of non-renewal of teacher contract, and Point B, we will return to open session. Ms. Demise, could you do the roll call vote, please?
You bet. Commissioner Spritka,
Yes.
Commissioner Cruz,
Yes.
Commissioner Stefani,
Yes.
Commissioner Jenner John.
Aye.
Commissioner Haas,
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer,
Yes.
and Commissioner Starr.
Yes.
All right. adjourn.